Hi y'all, Sadaka here. From a comment that I got on one video that I did, somebody asked different types of Qigong to do for channeling. And it's difficult to talk about that type of thing. Qigong is not something that you do for channeling in particular, but Qigong can lead to essentially clearing out the body of all the energetic muck, opening up chakras or different energy centers in the body, clearing the meridians and all of that, so that channeling happens. It shouldn't be said, I don't think, that there's any particular form of Qigong to do so that you find it easier to channel. But I do find, as I come back this way, that Bai Hui is probably the channeling center, for lack of a better term. It's called the place of 10,000 meetings, or the place of many meetings, the center of the skull, which is essentially the crown chakra to most people these days in the West. That's what you're going to think of it as. And there's a reason that it's called the place of 10,000 meetings. It's because at this level of consciousness, when consciousness is in this state, is in this level, is focused in this energy center, and this energy center is clear and clean and open, you have the potential to be able to tune into anything, anywhere, anytime. Um, that dog drinks so much freaking water, I'll never get over it. So that is not to say that suddenly when it's open, you just know how to channel. When it is open, you have the potential to be able to channel or to tune into anything, anywhere, anytime. You still have to have enough meditative prowess or know how to focus to be able to tune into that thing. The lightest form of channeling is just thinking about something. I'm thinking about this particular mug of tea, then I am, in essence, connecting my consciousness to that particular mug of tea, and I can start to channel information about it or tune into its essence or its spirit or its consciousness itself. And yes, it does have a consciousness. That's what I mean when I say tune into its spirit. I'm not talking about some spirit that inhabits this physical cup of tea. This physical cup of tea is a sort of concrescence of consciousness if we take consciousness to be primary to matter, and I do. It's kind of a panpsychism. So you still have to know how to be able to tune into that thing. So the lightest form of it is just thinking about it. A much more serious form is thinking about it without anything else getting in the way. You merge into that thing. You essentially merge with the consciousness of that thing, and then you are channeling it. So thinking about something is a light form of focusing or meditative practice. The next stage would be perhaps something like access concentration, at least in Buddhist terms. That's a term that gets thrown around a lot. But basically, when you can focus on something and just hold that object, whether real or imaginary, which is also real, in your mind, in your consciousness, without a bunch of distracting stuff getting in the way. When you can do that, you can channel. If this is not open, you're not gonna really be able to merge into it. But when you get to that level of meditative prowess, meditative skill, then it's pretty much there. You're pretty much there, and you can do that. In order to clear this area, there are some types of Qigong that I would recommend, particularly ones that involve scooping energy up and washing over this area and then back down. Where it comes from and exactly how it's done, there are lots of forms of that. One of my favorites is just with the the hands down here, and one rises up, and you kind of switch over, stop, and then slowly come back down. And then it returns back to this cup shape, and then you do with the other side. And you go up this path, and then it flips over above the head, and you come back down. And then you do it with this one again, pulling energy up, the in-breath, flipsy-do, and down. When you're doing this, you can do it seated, but you should be probably doing it standing up. That's most common. Again, hands like this in front of the belly. One goes up all the way, that side, flips around, and comes back down for stability. Another one is the sort of chi shower, which you would bend down, and you're gathering energy up, and you're just pulling it up, and you're doing the same thing that you were doing before, but you kind of like swirly, swirly, swirly. You're kind of clearing out the space above the crown chakra or bai hui, and then coming back down. And sometimes you'll see this done, well, you'll see it done several ways. One is to come down and sort of the hands like this, and again, spinny, 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 and then down in front of the body and back down. Another one is the exact same, but you do this and you kind of follow this path, and you clear things out that way, all the way down to rubbing the kidneys, and so energy shoots up, swirly, 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 clearing all this stuff around, and then you sort of wash the back of the head, down the center of the chest and around the breasts, and then back to the lower back, washing that down with the back of the hands. And I like to rub the kidneys a little bit when I do that, and then you kind of just like let that energy go down, and then you start up. The other one is that you're using the hands in a cupped fashion to do essentially the same thing. So instead of like this when it comes up, the style will suit you. You'll figure something out. Another one is much more the masculine style with the feet planted firmly on the ground and sort of spread out. You could even do it in the horse posture, and you're really more kind of like scooping this big amount of energy up, and then you're doing the same thing all the way down. You can also do that sort of thing from the sides, so from a neutral posture, up here, and then down. And this little spinny thing up here is important. Like there really is a lot of energy that gets all tangled up all around the head and in the head and above the head, and all of this stuff is kind of floating around all of our energy bodies and whatnot. And swishing around like this really does help to clear that stuff out. A little bit of a chi shower. You can do this one seated, so you kind of start from, again, hands in front of the belly maybe, or something like that, or actually dangling down to your sides, let's say, and you're going to pull energy up, hands palm up as they go up, and then wash down in front, and then resting in front of the lower dantian. And then down again, energy up, and let it wash down. Lower dantian, that kind of a thing. Those are really the only ones that I would know. In general, a good one to do is the sort of yin-yang posture. So left hand palm up in front of the belly, right hand palm down in front of the chest, and you just kind of like let them be magnets. You let that energy swish around. Then at a certain point, you can expand that ball and allow them to switch places. Let them magnetize to each other. That would be the in-breath. And the out-breath as they're coming back together. In-breath as they're moving apart. Out-breath as they're coming back together. Like so. All this kind of stuff with the intention of opening up those centers is going to be the best way to open them up so that you do experience better channeling abilities and you do clear out those centers for the purpose of channeling. But again, there's no, Qigong for channeling type of system that I'm aware of, at least. Another thing would be to use something like the more hands-on Reiki type approach. Let's say you have you've been initiated into Reiki properly, or you have the Akadwa, or you do quantum touch or something like that. You're gonna shake out your hands, darling, and rub them together. Really get the blood and energy flowing. Shake off all that stagnant energy. Maybe clap them together a few times. Sit in Gassho posture meditation for a little bit and really focus your consciousness on the center of the palms as they're coming together, or the tip of your index finger or middle fingers right here. You can do this one too. I really like this. This really activates the lines, the sort of core of energy that runs through the body, and the root chakra, so kind of gets everything. And focus on that. And just focus on that for several minutes. This is a really great thing for any energy healer to do before any type of session whatsoever. But once you're there, you can, call in the Reiki or whatever it is that you do, and then just have the intention to clear those out. The other thing to do while you're doing any of these practices is connect the tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth and gently smile. Gently smile and actually mean it. Try to think of something pleasant, good, pleasant feeling. And that actually is a posture. We're the only animals that really smile, at least the way that we mean it. And it literally does open up the crown chakra to allow energy to come in, to come down. Another thing that you could do, which is more like a meditative thing, is imagine your star or the center of your galaxy. Imagine that there is a galaxy that is your soul, okay? And you see it swirling high above you in this glorious divine colors. And as that's swirling and swirling and swirling, that energy comes down into your crown chakra and moves down through you. So connect that tongue, tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth. That really allows the water wheel circulation of energy within the body, so that it comes down this way, and then it goes down to the lower dantian, and then it comes back up the spine. Really, it's supposed to be thought of as starting down here, coming up the back and up the spine. You shouldn't think of it as very thin. You should just keep it sort of wide and diffuse as this like band of energy. Just feel it that way. Don't imagine it or visualize it unless it really helps you. Just try to feel it. As you're breathing in, that energy moves up. Tongue, you're breathing out. That energy moves down and coalesces back into the belly of the lower dantian. You do that kind of stuff regularly, then you will open up those centers to channel. Once again, it must be mentioned that it's not just gonna start pouring into your head. I can channel now, clear that stuff out, clear it out, along with all of the other practices that you do to cultivate good energy in your system and to open yourself up to channeling with the intention to do so, and then apply your meditative focus, your meditative skill to focus your consciousness on one object, let everything else fall off of you, and you will eventually hone in, tune in, channel whatever that object is, and you'll start to receive information about it.